have to wait for the rabbi to start, I think, but we can start warming up our voices, can't we? This is the Rancho Bernardo Nigun that was written a few years ago during the women's retreat. And if you were there, were any of you? Were you at that retreat? Yeah. That's when Cantor Natalie wrote it. So we're going to start with that tonight. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, yai, la, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, yai, la, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, la, lai, lai, la, lai. We're gonna kick it up. Ready? And yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, yai, la, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, yai, la, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, yai, la, lai. Stephanie, make your way on down. We're gonna kick it up again. Come on. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Ellen, come on. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, yai, la, lai. Loose, let's go. Yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, yai, la, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, yai, la, lai. One more time. Everybody knows it by now. Let's go. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yeah. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, lai, 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 la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, yai, la, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, yai, la, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai. Nice and soft and slow. Yai, la, la, lai, yai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai, lai, la, lai. Yai, la, lai.
Good evening, everybody. Before we start Shabbat, please rise. It is Elul, and so the tradition is to hear the shofar every day. And so since it's not yet Shabbat,
Okay. Yashikoa.
all right, so just to remind you, when you hear the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, it's supposed to remind you of, does anybody know? The ram as it was sacrificed in place of Isaac. So when you hear it, it's supposed to remind you of that moment. Let's try it again. Not on Shabbat. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
So one more time, keeping in mind.
Oh, we don't need that.
That's it? Okay. Wrong day. You may be seated.
All right. Shofar so good. Okay, wait a minute. We still have Hine Matov.
Okay, so now we are up to Hine Matov. It is in your books. These books, you may be seated. These blue books on page 7. On page 7.
This is Hine Matov, and we are talking about how good it is to be together in community. Kulanu biyachad. Hine Matov. Kulanu biyachad. Kulanu biyachad. Shabbat Shalom, and thank you to my choir sisters.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, choir. All right. So announcements before we start. Firstly, you are in Temple Bethel of South Orange County. We hope that you're in the right place. If you need to exit the room, there are exit signs there and there and there. Restrooms, if you need them, are out there to the right. You may notice that I, as the rabbi, am wearing a mask. I am not sick, but like football players before the beginning of the season, I don't want to catch anything. So do excuse me if Rosh Hashanah is this coming week. So additional announcements. If you are feeling any sniffles, please do the kind thing and watch us on Facebook. Hello, Facebook realm. So that we can all stay safe and healthy, because nobody wants to go back in time a year or two. We do not. All right. So we are up to the candle blessing part, where we formally welcome in Shabbat. So I would like to ask, Kim is going to help us. We're on page 1. Please rise if you are so inclined.
Ladies in the room, help me bring in the light of the candles. Atah Adonai. You know what? I started with the wrong one, didn't I? There's too much high holiday practicing going on in my brain. You want to come up and join me? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher מדליק נר של Shabbat. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. You may be seated. We'll continue on page 18. Page 18 with Lecha Dodi verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. I will get it eventually.
Yalla la 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 in the Chadodi. Yalla la 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 in the Krakala. Yalla la 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 in B'nai Shabbat. B'nai Shabbat Nikabela. Yalla la 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 in the Chadodi. Yalla la 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 in the Krakala. Yalla la 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 in B'nai Shabbat. B'nai Shabbat Nikabela. Verse 1 starts with Shemor v'Zachor. Shemor v'Zachor b'dibor echad. Hishmiyanu el ha'miuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shemo tiferet v'letila. Shabbat, likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki mikor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. You're sounding really good. Hitoreri, Kiva orech, kumiori, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai, Allah yechnig Allah. Here we go. Ya la la, ya la 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 la, la charodi, clap. Ya la 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 la, la krakala. Ya la 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 la, B'nai Shabbat, B'nai Shabbat, nikabela. Ya la 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 la, la charodi. Ya la 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 la, la krakala. Ya la 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 la, B'nai Shabbat. We're going to face the door to welcome the Shabbat bride with Boi v'Shalom. Boi v'Shalom, Ateret bala, Gam besimcha, Uvsola. Toch emunei am segula, bo Bowie Kala, Bowie Kala. Last time, ya la la, ya la la la, la Kanudi, ya la 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 la, la Krakala, ya la 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 la, Panay Shabbat, Nika. One more time, ya la 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 la, la Kanudi, clap. Ya la 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 la, la Krakala, ya la 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 la, Panay Shabbat, Nika.
You may be seated. It is time for Chatzi Kaddish on page 22. Next to it, it says congregant. So if nobody volunteers, then you will be stuck with me.
Okay,
Anybody? All right.
the congregation has spoken.
All right. So then I will ask, how high holiday do you want this to be?
Ooh.
From 0, so there's a 0, there's a level 5, and there's a level 10 high holiday mode. How 10?
Let's go hard high holiday, I'm saying.
Let me see if I can remember this.
Hold on.
Yep. Okay. Please rise. Yitkadal. You asked for 10. Veitkadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Divrach Chirutei Ve'amlich Malchutei B'chayechon Ov Yamechon Ov Chayedechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Ov Izman Kariv V'imru Amen Yesh Merabba Mevorach Leolam Ol Me'almayayit Barach Ve'yishtabach Ve'yitbar Ve'yitramam Ve'yitnaseh Ve'yitadar Ve'yitalei Ve'yitalal Shemei Dekudsha Breichu Leila Minko Birchata V'shirata Tush Bechata V'nechamata Damiran Be'almaya V'imru Amen.
Yasher Koach.
Please remain standing for Baruch Hu. 23.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Borechu et Adonai Hamevorach.
Continue with God of Creation on page 26.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro mariv aravim b'chochma poteach she'arim. God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun, you unfold the heavens with brilliant moon and stars and wrap our souls with peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro mariv aravim b'chochma poteach she'arim. Baruch atah Adonai Amariv Aravim.
Page 27, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha avta, Amcha avta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadata, otanu limadata. Alkein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochveinu uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla yegei yomam v'layla. Last verse, v'ahavatcha al tasir, v'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo
We will continue on page 30 with listen, going directly into the Shema. When we reach the Shema, if you would like, you are welcome to stand for the Shema. If you would not like, you are welcome to continue sitting for the Shema. Page 30.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen, listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen, listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen, listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you will hear if you listen, listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill, or from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. Close your eyes and listen. I want you to sing the Shema nice and strong with me now. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam. Listen, listen to our God. Listen, listen to our God.
Page 31. Page 31.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך לכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, ושבתך וביתך uvleftecha v'derek ushokbeha umeha l'shtartam leot ayadecha v'chayu l'totafot beinenecha utavtam al mezuzot beiteha uvisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohim Emet. We will continue with Mi Chamocha on 37. But before we move on, if anybody's ever wondered about the sitting and standing thing for the Shema, on 29, if you're interested, there's an explanation. It gets you like 70% of the way you need to get to the answer. If you want the other 30%, grab me after the service, I'll fill you in. But if anyone's interested, 29, under where it says Shema for sitting versus standing. All right, Mi Chamocha is on 37. This is a sitting prayer. You may remain seated.
Mi chamocha va'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norate hilot o seifele, norate hilot o seifele, malchutecha ra'u v'necha bokei hayam livnei Moshe zeli anu ve'amru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai God
Amen. We are up to page 39, Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomereinu l'chaim. That sounds really pretty. Let's do it again. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomereinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom good. Save us. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Come on. Hashkiveinu Adonai, Eloheinu lishalom, v'hamidenu shomereinu l'chaim. One more time. That was really good.
Come on in, come on in.
Ooh.
We're friendly, I swear we won't bite. You can come in. All right, we're up to Vishamru, so this is an appropriate place to be joined by some of the next generation of Jewish leaders. Come on in,
For
kids.
sure, this is the jumping one. And now also, so you brought the tradition of jumping when you hear Vishamru. Now before you came here, we would dab on Vishamru. Now I know that's old school. Well, it's old-ish school. So you go like this, boom. Well, you got to do both, boom, like that. Yeah, well that's close. So you get your choice tonight. You can dab, or you can jump, or you can just sing, whatever you want. Let's hit it. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. One more time. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. Adon Shabbat. V'et ha'aretz. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. Ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, vayinafash, vayinaf. Get your dabbers ready. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. One more time. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, et ha-Shabbat. Whew, that was fun.
All right, please remain standing, or you can sit for like a minute and then you'll have to get back up for the Amidah. We are starting together out loud with Open Our Eyes on 43, and then everyone is going to have a chance to pray silently.
Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to
forgive. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Yes, we will know that you are one.
Please continue silently. If you are still praying, please continue at your own pace. If you have concluded, we are on 58. 58, we're going to be singing Lo Yisagoy Goy. No, I'm sorry. Lo Alecha Hamlacha Ligmor on 57. I apologize. 50, yeah.
When the world feels too heavy on your shoulders, and your heart aches with all there is to do, just remember it's not yours alone to carry. Just look up, I am standing here with you. Hand in hand, we'll walk this road together. Step by step is how we all must start. Build the world through acts of love and kindness. Fix the world by mending every heart. Lo Alecha Hamlecha Lidmor Velo Ata Ben Chorin. Lo Alecha Hamlecha Lidmor Velo Ata Ben Chorin Lehibaten Mimena. Take a breath when you are feeling weary. Raise your voice when you are feeling strong. Take this moment to recognize the blessings of the miracle inside that guides us on the shoulders of those who came before us, who shine their light so we can see the way for our children, for future generations. We must do the work to finish off the day.
We have come to the point in our service where we collect names of those in need of healing. So as I look in your direction, if you have people in your life who are in need of healing, I will invite you to add your names at this time, their names at this time.
Ronnie Brown, Ari Gubner, Marilee Brown, and family.
To those names that have been said, we add Steve Blanc for his continued recovery, Sherry Krause, of course, Rachel Grinikoff. More on that. Stand by for that information later. And Helene Greenstein, and we add all those in our county without access to adequate housing or health care. Please join me on 63 for Misha Berach, middle of the page.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal
Shabbat Shalom. On March 25th, 1911, Louis Waldman was sitting at one of the reading tables in the old Astor Library in New York. He recalled it was a raw, unpleasant day, and the comfortable reading room seemed a delightful place to spend the remaining few hours of the day with a book until the library closed. Quote, I was deeply engrossed in my book when I became aware of fire engines racing past the building. By this time, this was a Jewish immigrant, he says, I was sufficiently Americanized to be fascinated with the sound of fire engines. Tonight, I wish to discuss with you a mitzvah, a good deed, a Jewish act that you can perform while you are engaging in what is sometimes called retail therapy, also known as shopping. That's right, this is a shopping sermon. So I want to talk to you tonight about how to make good Jewish choices when you go out to buy a new blouse or suit or shoes or belt or tie or hair clips or whatever you want to get. And I want to say to you, first of all, some of you have been putting off going shopping for clothes because you don't like it. And some of you are looking for an excuse to go shopping for clothes because you love it. I have news for both of you. Jewish tradition commands that you go shopping this week. The Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Joseph Caro, writing in the 16th century in Tzfat, writes in Orach Chaim 529:2, for those of you who are keeping track and keeping score at home, he says, it is an obligation to be joyful on holidays, especially Rosh Hashanah. I assume that's what Caro, he died before recording devices. I assume that's what he sounds like. Part of this joy, he states, is achieved, the joy of the holiday. Part of the joy of the holiday is achieved through the purchase of new clothes and gifts. Especially, he says, especially clothes. And he continues that one should be as generous as possible with one's clothing budget. Quoth the Shulchan Aruch. He actually says a husband has to buy his wife a new dress, but I am updating the language, and you can sort that out among your own family systems, who buys what for whom. But this rule has been around at least since the time of the Mishnah, so we're talking about at least 1,800 years, a millennium before Caro was writing. But there's something implied in what the Shulchan Aruch and what Yosef Caro writes. There's a logic. Why spend so lavishly on clothes? And I read all sorts of commentaries on why he might say this. And the one I found most compelling was from Rabbi Ari Enkin, who was writing for the Orthodox Union's website. And I was interested to discover his explanation. And he said, we are meant to infer that the more we beautify the holiday, the more we spend on clothes, the more good fortune we are buying for next year. And so your clothes budget is like a down payment on your good fortune, and you will be paid back many, many, many times over. Cool? Sounding good so far? All right, back to the guy in 1911 with the fire. All right, back in 1911, Mr. Walmond is running along. He's on his way. I ran out of the library. I ran to see what was happening because he wants to know, right, what's going on. And he saw people running towards an inferno to see what was up, and he followed them. And a few blocks away, the Ash Building on the corner of Washington Place and Green Street was ablaze. When he arrived at the scene, the police had thrown up a cordon around the area and firemen were helplessly fighting against the blaze. The 8th, 9th, and 10th stories of the building were now an enormous roaring cornice of flames. Word had spread through the east side by some magic terror that the plant of the Triangle Waste Company was on fire, and several hundred workers were trapped within. Horrified and hopeless and helpless, the crowds, I among them, looked up at the burning building and saw young woman after young woman approach the windowsill with the reddened, flame-filled window behind, pause for a terrified moment, and then leap and land as a mangled, bloody pulp on the pavement below. The Triangle Waste Factory fire went down in history as a moment when the Jewish community decided that ethics needed to be reapplied to the garment industry. Since the Industrial Revolution, it had been trending towards sweatshop conditions, because the demand for cheap clothing led to the cutting of corners, to brutal working conditions, and a lack of fire exits. And the owners of the factory were aware of these deficiencies, and they overlooked them. And in cartoons from the time, they are portrayed as holding the door shut and keeping the workers trapped inside. Today, 100 years later, little more than 100 years later, we go to buy clothing often because clothing is designed to last a single season and wear out. Some of you are chuckling. You can tell where I'm headed. The intersection of high fashion and bargain prices is what we call fast fashion. Fast fashion, like I said, is producing fashionable garments cheaply, quickly, at a low cost, garments that are intended to be worn only for a single season. Now you got to ask, Rabbi, why do we have seasonal fashions in the first place? Rabbi, why do we have... That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Okay, the idea of fast fashion comes from the idea of seasonal fashion, which originates with none other than the Sun King himself, Louis XIV, King of France. Up until the reign of King Louis XIV, does anyone know where the center of fashion was in the world? It wasn't Italy, and it wasn't yet France. Does anybody know? No, not England. Spain! Who said Spain? 1,000 points. Spain is correct. Spain had been the center of fashion because it was the center of the largest empire for centuries, and Spanish fashion was known for being durable and long-lasting. And King Louis created a rule. He found a weak spot in his court, which he was trying to control. You see, King Louis had lots of people rising up against him, and his thing was like to calm down and take away the power of his rebellious nobles. And he did it in the following way. He created what is known as etiquette. And part of the etiquette, designed by himself and his brother, was that fashion needed to change every season in order to force, and all of the fashion had to be produced in France, and the patterns had to be vibrant, but it had to be replaced every season in order to force his aristocrats to spend down their money and reduce their power. It seems to me that the Torah, if asked to choose between the Spanish idea of fashion, durability, and King Louis's idea of fashion, the Torah would say the Spanish are correct. Why? Thank you. I'm glad you asked. Because this week in Parshat Nitzavim Vayelech, Moses is giving his long-winded goodbye speech And he's reminiscing about the days when the people lived and worked and walked in the desert. And he says, I led you, he sounds like Joseph Caro, I led you in the desert for 40 years, and the clothes on your back did not wear out, and your sandals did not wear out. This, I believe, is not saying that we need to wear the same clothes for 40 years, but they'd smell pretty bad. But I do believe in days gone by there was a proverb that read or was said, buy cheap, buy twice. Recently, the Jewish website Hey Alma. Who are my Hey Alma fans? Anybody playing at home? Hey Alma? No? Okay. Hey Alma described a recent backlash to fast fashion. Slow fashion. This is a concept against fast fashion and its labor abuses and its environment, like it's very polluting, fast fashion. So slow fashion was championed by contemporary fashion experts like Cora Harrington, and it said that the cost of a fashion haul, is anyone familiar with the term haul? It's when you get a bunch of inexpensive stuff and you take what you want and whatever, and the stuff lasts, you wear it twice, and then it's gone. The cost of a haul of 10 pieces that will wear out within a season, Hey Alma says, for the same price, shoppers could choose not only ethically made pieces of clothing, not only sustainably made clothing, but clothing that will last for years and years and years. And Jewish tradition suggests that when making a clothing purchase, in addition to the price and the style, we should consider the supply chain and the dignity of garment workers, among whom some of us have ancestors who did that work. We should be aware of that. We should, in America, vote with our dollars. We vote with our votes, and in America we also vote with our dollars. And since we have to go shopping, what a burden! We ought to give some consideration to these issues as well. And I wish I could say that the Triangle Factory fire is behind us, 100 years behind us. But I want to share a story from 100 years later, from 2012. The Tazreen factory near Dhaka in Bangladesh. More than 200 people were injured when a fire broke out. At least 110 workers were killed, and at least 9 people died by jumping from the building. The Talmud, the Shulchan Aruch, and I think all of us would probably agree, it's very important to beautify the holiday and to beautify yourself in the process, because Jewish tradition says that this shopping, this holy shopping, should be a source of joy. And you may notice that your new rabbi, because he puts his money where his mouth is, has fewer suits and fewer shoes and fewer ties than you would expect in a rotation for someone in his position. Because rather than buy 10, he's buying 1. Because I want to do what Moses suggests and wear something that will last me at least 40 wears. I don't want to buy any clothing that will not last me to the 40th time I put it on. Because I believe, and Moses believes, and I think all of us when we talk about fashion also believe, that quality is better than quantity. So I would like to propose to you all that the highest form of fashion, as we all know, is to buck the trend and do the opposite of what the mainstream is doing. That is the essence of cool. Lisa Beth is shaking her fist. Anybody here was a fan of the Netflix show Emily in Paris? Okay. I want to update from King Louis XIV. Right, in that show they said Rangar is the new chic, meaning going against the trend is the height of cool. So this year, instead of buying 10 pieces of clothing that you'll wear once or twice, spend the same amount on a single garment that reflects ethical treatment of the workers, because you don't want your garment, you don't want to find out that what you bought was made in the Tazreen factory before it burned down. Ethical purchasing, quality, durable garments, not as much waste. And we should aim to feel that our clothing are like our second skin made out of our ethics. We want to look on the outside like our ethics feel on the inside. So, I declare positively and without reservation that more than 3 centuries after the death of Louis XIV, Zichrono Livracha, I guess, you should all feel comfortable wearing the same clothing to synagogue 2 seasons in a row. Happy shopping and Shabbat Shalom. All right. We're almost concluded. We're on page 64. Please rise for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך לכל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We're going to now remember those who are no longer with us. I will ask, each time I do this, I want to remind everyone, I'm still relatively recently appointed in my position, and if I get a name wrong, I deeply apologize. Please let me know, send me an email with a phonetic pronunciation after Shabbat, pull me aside after services. Let me know. It's going to happen. I really intend my best to hit every name perfectly. I want to get them absolutely right. I'm going to need a little of your help because I have a lot of new friends to meet and a lot of new names to learn, and sometimes it's Weinstein and sometimes it's Weinstein, and I want to make sure that I get it right because it's when it's the name of your loved one, it matters to you and it matters to me. So again, apologies in advance. I'm new. Cut me some slack. Let me know after the service. Tell me or send me an email. All right. This week, we mourn the passing of David Epstein and David Feldman and observe the following yahrzeits. Anne Bacall, Billy Baker, Brenda Baker, Jean Berkowitz, Bella Blake, Irene Brass, Irene Brazacher, Rose Brown, Lawrence Cohen, Jerry Covey, Sam Deichmann, Sam Diamond, Ellie Elgazar, Sylvia Farber, Dr. Leonard Feynman, Bernard Guinness, Ben Gibble, Marion Minnie Goldfather, Ethel Deichmann Gordon, Ernest Greenthal, Jack Gumbiner, Albert Haskell, Richard Hepps, Sarah Horowitz, Robert Ijams, Warren Kaplan, Dorothy Korngold, Ev Kritstein, Joseph Laprie, Alex Lieberman, Mrs. Selma Locke, Mr. Abraham Milchiker, Mildred Moss, Joseph Neufeld, Betty Pomish, Steve Resnick, Glenn Rosen, Muriel Sachs, Raymond Schatz, Audrey Schildkret, Jack Sickle, Lenore Starr, Rebecca Wall, Pearl Weinstein, Albert Welland, and Josef Winograd. We also continue to mourn Martin Cole, Zita Gluskin, Leslie Heinel, Dorothy Eisen, Judith Kovach, and Miriam Wellickson. If you have a name that I have not shared, please, as I point in your direction, I invite you to share it. Beverly Lyston, and who was so Beverly Lyston, yes, Beverly Lyston. Donna Brubaker. Others? I invite you to please rise with the mourners as we say together Mourners Kaddish on page 73. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'olama divarach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei ve'chayachon uvyomechon uvchayei decho beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv vimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach le'olam ulmei almaya yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzba'ar v'yitzromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'rechu le'el amin kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata za'amiran be'oma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba mid shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Aseh shalom b'imrumav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Shrei tevel v'imru. Amen. You may be seated. Announcements. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to our cantorial soloist Kim Gubner, to Evan on the drums, to Carol on piano, to everybody for being here tonight, to Lisa Beth, to everybody for making time to be together on Shabbos. Go us. All right. All the details of stuff can be found on the website. Tomorrow morning in the chapel, there is a conservative Saturday morning service. Tomorrow night in this space, there will be a joint slichot, or as they say in the old country being between La Cienega and Fairfax, slichos.
Slichos.
We'll be having slichos.
What is that? Because many people don't know what this service is.
That's a great point. So for Ashkenazi Jews and for many progressive Jews in America, the Saturday night before Rosh Hashanah, we get together to have a penitential service. There's melodies to get us in the mood. Traditionally, slichot are done each morning in the morning service leading up to Rosh Hashanah. If you are Sephardi or Mizrahi, there is a custom of starting at the beginning of this lunar month. We are following the Ashkenazi custom of doing it tomorrow night after Shabbat, 8:30. So that should be fun. You'll get to hear your high holiday melodies. Does anybody know the secret reason why we do this at night in America and it used to be done in the morning elsewhere?
Why, Rabbi?
Somebody's paying attention. All right, because when Jews move to America, we adapt our customs to fit what's going on in the world around us, and rabbis found that if you put a service at 6 in the morning on a Sunday morning in America, people did not show up because they were out drinking late the night before. So they moved it to late Saturday night. You may drink when you want, but in order to keep you from being hungover and missing the service, it was moved. For those who doubt me, you may find the citation in Isaac Klein's Guide to Jewish Practice in the section entitled Slichot. So that'll be tomorrow night.
Is there a page number? I mean,
I have a copy in my office if anyone wants to. 8 o'clock for cake. 8 o'clock for Shal Shudas for an extra little meal at the end of Shabbat for some cake reception, followed by, I'm going to do this in all Ashkenazi, Shal Shudas, followed by Havdalah, followed by Slichus. All right.
Well, we're also, what's pretty neat about this service is we changed the tour mantles from what they are dressed in now to white. And it's like a big ramp up to the holidays. It's a really special service.
The Torahs also go shopping for new clothing.
Hey,
all right.
can't be bad.
Sunday morning, Hinenu. There is a Hinenu orientation. If you like being a good person and reaching out to those who are in need of some soup or a kind word or a hospital visit, Hinenu is a place where you can get your mitzvah points. If you've been wondering whether you're going to hit the lottery this year, you need to build up the mitzvah points, and one way to do that is by joining the Hinenu committee. So again, Sunday morning. Torah study is going to be tomorrow morning on Zoom, 9 a.m. Then also, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur does require tickets. Thank you to everybody who's renewed, and if you haven't renewed, Lisa Beth will find you. Don't worry. But we all appreciate and we love you for your support. We are like PBS. Everything is possible thanks to all of you and your generosity, volunteerism, and support. All right, lastly, Temple Beth. No, I'm sorry, two more things. Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Chodesh is coming. We're having a new moon group, which will be meeting on October 16th at 9:30. More details forthcoming. And Temple Bethel is offering grief support in partnership with Vitas. The next group will be starting on October 4th. Any other information that would like to be shared? All right. Then there's happy news from a member of our congregation that may be happening. We're not sure. Does anybody know if that happened already? The happy news that was in process?
No.
If it hasn't happened, if it's not official yet, when I hear about it, you will all hear about it too. Some of you already know, but brace yourself for some positive news. Okay. And then...
Where do you go with that? Nobody even knows what you're talking about.
You know
we have a congregant whose daughter-in-law is in labor. So we'll be getting a mazel tov to email out, I'm sure, and you'll all see it then.
Exactly. So I maintain the traditional Jewish superstition of not announcing things before because of bringing the angel of death and the whatever. Not everybody does that, but I'm excited to be looking forward to good news soon. All right. We are at 13 minutes to 8, so I'm going to do the challah giveaways. If you are receiving this challah, that means we want you to feel better, and we're all thinking about you. So what you win is our love, support, and one of us to visit your house. Is anyone headed towards Dana Point? There you go. No? Oh. Who's headed for Dana Point? Dana Point. Who wants mitzvah points? No? Dana Point? Oh, Lisa Beth said, wait. Are you using the restroom or Dana Point? Coming up to sing, not Dana Point. All right, our intrepid executive director is headed home to take it to Dana Point. All right, second one is headed for Laguna Woods. Who would like to go to Laguna Woods? Who's headed that direction? All right, Laguna Woods. There you go.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all. And now we're at the end of our service. I'm sure you're ready. Here we go.
Joined right now by my choir sisters again, and this is a song that we're going to be singing tomorrow night for Elul, and it's called We Return, and it's a reminder that we need to return again to love, light, and truth. And this is something that we're going to be singing together at the holidays, so you will recognize it then, and it's super easy, so join in whenever you want. We return, we return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, we return, we return, return.
turn again to truth. Ashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu
Thank you all. Shabbat Shalom. Kiddush and Motzi will be in the social hall. I will see you all there.